Oklahoma State has apparently decided enough is enough of the Mike Gundy experience. He's been fired, according to On3, ESPN, and others. Let's talk about what that means for Oklahoma State, what that means for college football. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year-round. If you're into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Did you expect this to be the last season for Mike Gundy as head coach at Oklahoma State? Because I got to tell you, I did not think Oklahoma State would make this move in September. I thought the buyout would be too much at $15 million. I thought that Mike Gundy's always got an opportunity to turn it around, and nobody runs Stillwater quite like Mike Gundy has run Stillwater for more than 30 years. If we take it back to him being the starting quarterback, 40 years at Oklahoma State, where he was quarterback, handing the football to Barry Sanders. He spent just a little bit of time at Baylor and Maryland as assistant before he came back home to Oklahoma State, where he's basically been since Les Miles was head coach, and he was elevated to head coach following Les Miles' departure to LSU. And he is synonymous with Oklahoma State's most successful era of football. He finishes with a win record of 170-90. He's got some historic Bedlam wins against Bob Stoops, against Lincoln Riley. As a matter of fact, he gets to say he's the last guy to beat Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma, and really ushered in a new era at Oklahoma with that loss for the Sooners as Lincoln Riley took the job at USC. He also had what I think is a really great run from about 2010 to about 2019. That 2011 team will go down as the best Oklahoma State team we've ever seen. Brandon Weeden nearly had Oklahoma State playing for a national championship if they could have beaten Iowa State a little bit later that year. It was a historic year for them. It was an announcement that Oklahoma State was no longer going to be a doormat for anybody in the Big 12. And we thought with this change, with Oklahoma and Texas leaving the Big 12 for the SEC, that Oklahoma State would rise to the top of the crop alongside places like Kansas. Maybe Baylor would stay there. Maybe Texas Tech would find a way. Maybe Kansas would find a way. But you always thought that Oklahoma State was going to be there, and that just hasn't been the case. The last 2 years particularly have been dismal for Oklahoma State fans. They have not won a conference game since 2023. They haven't beaten an FBS team since 2024, September 14th, when they beat Tulsa. The Tulsa loss, 19-12 at Stillwater. It's first against Tulsa since the 1950s, and really the most embarrassing loss that Mike Gundy has taken as his tenure apparently proved just to be too much. He's also got an athletic director in Chad Weiberg who's working without a contract. He'd run off a couple presidents. He'd run off an athletic director, but he also had got his way, meaning that he always thought that he had the best interest of the program at the forefront, and that meant changing out coordinators. At one point, he got so tired of changing out coordinators that he decided to keep the offense and say, you're going to learn to run our offense and defense for that matter. Dana Holgerson came through there. We keep going. Derek Mason came through there. Brian Nardo came through. Casey Dunn. And you think about some of the great players that he has coached in his time. Recently, Braylon Presley comes to mind. Justin Blackman, my goodness. James Washington, a 2,000-yard rusher in Chuba Hubbard. Tyreek Hill really came onto the national scene at Oklahoma State. He's Ollie Gordon. He's always had a knack for finding talent that perhaps slipped through the cracks for bigger programs with bigger athletic budgets. He also always felt he was punching up. At one point, Oklahoma State felt like it could be what Clemson is. And I think Mike Gundy wanted that, where you are a Power 4 university in a small town where you are the only thing that people really care about there. Oklahoma State's got more going on for it in the form of baseball, like Clemson. Wrestling is huge at Oklahoma State. It's massive. So is veterinary school and horsing, ranching, equestrian. These are all big deals in Stillwater. I was there for a couple of years pursuing a PhD in English before I got this job, which I love. And I got to believe that Mike Gundy is feeling some kind of way about losing his dream job in this way. On Monday, it was the anniversary of I'm a Man, I'm 40, when he was trying to defend a quarterback from a column that Jenny Carlson wrote at the Oklahoman that I think he just took too far. Bobby was not that great, but Bobby Reed was also trying to figure it out, and Mike Gundy was trying to defend his guy, and it's become one of the most celebrated moments in college football history that we bring up each and every year, kind of like Mike Leach and candy corn. It's just part of the pageantry of our sport. And Gundy also got out and told anybody that would listen, look, man, I think that the sport has changed. And it's totally different than the one that I started coaching in 2005. Guys are getting paid at a high level to play football in college. They got managers, they got marketing agents, they got agencies all around them. I got people that are asking me for money that never asked me for money before. And now you're having to find different ways to make more money because the revenue sharing has come online with House versus the NCAA. And now with a 58-year-old man out of the job, you pivot right away if you're Oklahoma State to, okay, how do we identify the next head coach at Oklahoma State? And can we spend the rest of the season doing that? I thought it was interesting to make this decision now because it doesn't feel like an interim is going to make this team any better. You could pop, right, get a couple of wins here and there, and perhaps find a way that your season can be salvaged. Maybe you pull out a bowling season out of this, but you'd have to go and get some wins against some programs I just don't think you've been that good against. I immediately go to Texas State and G.J. Kinney. I don't think he's going to leave. They're going to Pac-12, and he's been doing a great job. G.J., who played quarterback at the University of Tulsa, I graduated with him, famously beat Notre Dame and Tommy Rees as quarterback, and is high school football, Texas football royalty down there. Colin Klein at A&M as an offensive coordinator also comes to mind for me for this job. I'm going younger here. Like it's going to be Ben Arbuckle is a guy that you might think about if you're Oklahoma State, the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma. I'm not sure that I would want to get up and leave the job that I just got at Oklahoma as the offensive coordinator for Oklahoma State, but maybe Ben Arbuckle's thinking at 30, he'd like that opportunity. Zach Robinson, who played at played at Oklahoma State as quarterback, offensive coordinator at Atlanta right now, but Atlanta's not doing too well. He's still a beloved figure. There's lots of beloved figures that come through Oklahoma State playing quarterback, if we're being honest about it. It's Clint Shelf, Wes Lunt, guys that most people have never heard of have marked themselves for greatness at Oklahoma State, and Zach Robinson was one of them. If you want to go a little bit different way, maybe you go into the Big Ten for a guy that's not doing so well. Or I think really the guy that I would go get is Eric Morris at North Texas. He's figured out how to coach at Incarnate Word. He figured out how to be an offensive coordinator at Washington State, where he had them absolutely slinging it and humming it. And he's figured out how to win in North Texas. He's ready for the move up. Shannon Dawson is another guy at Miami that I think could be a really great fit for this job. I don't know that Will Stein is going to give this job a second look. He's got a really great gig at Oregon, and the job he might be waiting to open up is either Louisville or Texas, and both of those programs are in really good hands right now. There's other places to look. There's other places to go. Dana Holgerson at Nebraska might want another opportunity to run it back at Oklahoma State as the head coach. There's lots of things you could go do here. I do think that the way to go is younger. I think you need to get someone that's closer to my age, just under 40 or around there, someone who is unafraid of the college football landscape changing, because it is changing and it will continue to change. And change has been the only thing that's been constant in college football since 2018. We've had the introduction of the transfer portal. We've had immediate eligibility. We've had name, image, and likeness. Now we got revenue sharing, and we're probably going to expand the college football playoff once again after going from 4 to 12 to maybe even 24 teams. We've got the Power 5 becoming the Power 4. You got to get somebody who is comfortable with this. You have to get someone who is comfortable raising money all the time, someone that is unafraid of what the players are going to ask of them, and who didn't work this hard to get to the job, find out that they changed the way that you got to do it, and decide to fold. I credit Oklahoma State for making this decision. I think Oklahoma State fans, for the most part, think it's a long time coming, but who they get next is going to inform just how good or bad they're going to be. And now is the time. Now we'll get to find out, maybe Mike Gundy gets a good TV job. He's charismatic. People love to hear him talk, tell stories. Or maybe he just decides to mow his lawn for the rest of his life. We'll see.